I like to have my lures ideally cycling, and what we mean by cycling is coming up, grabbing air, going back down. I like to see if I can get my lures to stay down below the surface for a minimum of, say, 3 seconds. Ideally, I like to have my lure cycle and stay down 5 to, say, if I can, 8 seconds. What that does, it allows that lure to dive under the surface. It's easier for the fish to catch that lure when it's running underneath the surface a little bit versus skipping along the surface, which the fish have a harder time catching. They can catch it either way, but you'll get a better hookup ratio if that fish can actually get on that lure, track the lure, and then actually bite the lure. So we'll fine tune it based on our sea right now. So right now that lure is running good. It's down, staying down, so I'll count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's good. It's running good. It's looking good right there. And I can always fine tune this on the height based on what I'm seeing it doing. So you're constantly, a lot of people say, well, you're dragging and snagging by lures. Well, you've got to really manipulate what each lure is doing and get in the correct position to get the ideal swimming action out of that lure. So I'll go back now and I'll go over to my short corner lure and I'm going to fine tune this one to see where it's positioned. It's kind of hard to see what we're doing right now because we're going into a head sea, so the water, the prop wash is pretty dirty right now. If we were to turn and say work a little bit quarter sea right now, we'd have a little cleaner path. By positioning a short corner lure, some people don't realize this, but it makes a big difference. If I run this lure straight and flat off my rod tip directly behind the boat, I may have a harder time getting in the little clear pocket that I have coming between the prop and the first wave. Now see, this lure, if it's swimming on this edge, I'm actually picking up a lot of that whitewash. Just by moving that rod and putting it in this outside position and changing that angle by about, it's about 7-8 degrees, I'm now putting it out in that clear lane. By having it in a clear lane, it lets a fish, when it comes out, is attracted by the prop wash and actually raises up underneath the boat to easily see that lure in close. As I said, on this short corner lure, that's typically our largest lure that we're fishing in our pattern. It's a loud, large lure that's a big profile lure for a fish coming underneath. Most people fish a dark color lure here, a black and purple, typically anything black. And the reason for that is it's a high profile lure from a silhouette standpoint when a fish is looking up through a white water pattern. We position this lure, the short corner lure, I put it on wave 2. Now, when you count waves in your pattern, this one, the first coming off your wake is not counted as your wave, okay? It's the first true wake behind the boat. So that's your wave number 1, your wave number 2. So my short corner lure, I like to position on wave number 2. And depending on the direction we're heading, I'll place it on a different placement of the wave itself. But technically, when you're placing a lure, the most common or ideal position on that is, think of surfing a wave. If you were to surf on a wave, if a wave is shaped like this, you want to be surfing the wave towards the bottom of the wave. That keeps the lure in the wave the most and under the water surface the most. If the lure is up on the top, it has a tendency to want to fly out a lot. If it gets to the bottom, it has a tendency to want to stall and doesn't get an aggressive movement out of it. The other idea behind the wave is the fish can use that wave to actually come down when it eats a lure, coming through the wave, almost surfing the wave. If you place the lure at the top of the wave, that fish actually has to come up through the wave like this and it's trying to get a bite off a lure off the top. It doesn't give it enough water area. What a marlin's doing when they come up on a lure itself, just as they feed on any type of a bait, is